Okay, I got my orange hat on, and I'm not going to talk about Project Orange right now. I'm going to use orange as simply a different color. Okay, so I'm going to remind you all that I don't know anything. I don't. So, if you're coming here and expecting to really learn something, maybe it's a good place because while I'm talking, maybe something good is going to come for you through your own mind. But in the meantime, I'll pitter patter and chit chat, and you can see what you get. The next time we get involved with anything to do with Netflix, we want to remember that everything on Netflix is produced by Hollywood and related production companies. And the primary motivation for movie making in Hollywood is to sell the film. Because it costs millions of dollars to make a good modern film. And millions of dollars just don't grow on trees. So you're expecting to make more millions back than what you spent on making the movie. And therefore, if the movies that you're looking for are not there, it's because the Hollywood production companies, I don't know if they've done marketing or not, but they don't think that maybe the movies that you're looking for, maybe they think they're not going to be big sellers and they're not going to make their money back or they're not going to profit from it. Then again, maybe there are some movies that are not available to you because they're not on Netflix, and maybe they're available on YouTube or some other place where you have to pay a small fee in order to see them. The movies that we're encouraging you to look for are pretty much not on Netflix. Pretty much the movies that we're encouraging you to look for are maybe on YouTube and maybe I don't know, without video stores anymore. We're handcuffed. The kind of movies we're looking for are pretty much uh, somebody in the background says they want musicals. And it's true, we don't see modern musicals, and they are a lot of fun to watch musicals. They're very uplifting and joyful. So why don't they make these movies anymore? It seems like in the 1960s, uh, it was kind of the end of musicals. They just weren't making money anymore. And previous to the 1960s, musicals, I think, were very popular. And they spent a lot of money on having lots and lots of people in these musicals, in some cases, or big stars. And nowadays, what do we think of musicals that come to mind? Saturday Night Fever, Grease, Sound of Music, and I don't know. Are you thinking that any Walt Disney movies have got movie songs that you like? Perhaps. But generally speaking, we're not getting really good musicals and on and on. Okay, so why do you need to see some? We don't want musicals. Oh, what kind of movies? We're looking for movies to give you information. And if the movies are not on Netflix and they might be on YouTube or you might have to pay for them, then it's going to be looking for kinds of information that is useful to you, practical information. And why do we want the movie format? Well, it seems like people that used to read books are more inclined to listen to audiobooks these days. Young people, I give young people books, and as far as I know, they go and they never get read. Do children watch movies? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any children, but my relatives have children, and I can't figure them out. But I still think movies might work. And why do we want the children? We don't want the children to watch these movies. It's nothing about the children. What are we looking for? Are we looking for magic movies? No. What kind of information? Human relations? Nope. History, yes. We're looking for historical movies. And then you want to ask, well, are they accurate historically? And we're never going to know. Because unless you've got a time machine, you're not going to go back to 1776 and look at the American Revolution. All you have are, in the olden days, books. Today you have, internet. And what do we know about American Revolution from the movies? Mm, I don't know. I don't know. But why don't we have more modern movies about things that are historical like that? Um, I guess they're just not interesting. They're not going to sell. I don't know. What other kind of historical things do we want to know from movies? We don't know. And we don't know if the movie makers are accurate. We kind of think that they change history to make a better story for us. Does it matter? Yes. History as it really happened matters. And the dramatization and changes in these things that are not even footnoted. I mean, sometimes they call it a docudrama, but usually, it's like inventing history. So, what specific movies are you going to recommend? I'm not recommending any of these movies because we don't know if they're true. We don't know. We just don't know. They're just things that come out of Hollywood, but this is what people think is history. So, are you going to go bother going on YouTube or anywhere else looking for these movies? I wouldn't. It's just it's kind of your programming that I'm trying to get at, trying to deprogram you. So if you don't know where your sort of common sense ideas about history came from, probably from watching television or seeing movies. And I'm going to tell you everything you learned this way about history, which is an awful lot of many, 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 many movies over the years that you've watched. And you might as well consider it all mass mind programming about all kinds of stuff. And is it true? No. It's designed to sell movie tickets. So you might as well say, well, I'm contaminated, or maybe you can say, well, we did have certain books in school, or maybe you're a history major or something, but for the average person, that's where we learned history, and we have no way of really knowing if the movies are accurate. So we might as well consider everything that we've learned about history to be Hollywood fluff. Why is it important? History is important because if we don't learn from the past what mistakes were made, then we're going to keep making these mistakes. And seeing as I'm telling you everything that you've learned from Hollywood is unreliable, then basically the mistakes of the past, we don't know. We don't know. Which means we're going to make more of the same mistakes that generations previous to us made. How do we avoid these mistakes? I don't see how. I don't see how. Like what kind of things? It's everything to do with history. If you don't know if it's true or not, and if they don't show you the actual mistakes, then we don't know. So are we? Yes, we're pretty much in a bad state. Did they had the same problem. They didn't know the history of previous generations, especially among their families. How many of you know what your great grandmother's name was? It doesn't seem like too many people are going to know that. So, something as close to us as our great grandmother that we know nothing about, but they lived, and we don't know what mistakes they made, and we don't know nothing about them. It's really shitty. It's really shitty that we don't know our ancestors. How can we change to make this better for future generations? Um, well, I mean, you can make videos like I do, but there's no guarantee that these social media platforms are going to be around tomorrow. So 100 years from now, are these videos still going to be available? I wouldn't bet on it. Someone's got to spend a lot of money to keep all these videos. And, why do they really want to keep all these old videos? They're not making any money from these things. These old videos that I make, they're not making any money off of them, but it's costing them money to host these things. So at some point in the future, maybe they're just going to do a big purge. They're just going to say, unless a video's got like 1 million views, we're just deleting it. It's costing us money, and these are old videos, and no one's watching it. So that's quite likely what's going to happen. So whatever we're doing to try and preserve pieces of us using technology, I don't think we're going to have it. I don't think the future generations are going to have it. And until people get to be a little bit older, are they really interested in previous generations? When are they going to start? Maybe when like they've got an empty nest or something, like they're in their 50s or something, 60 years old, and you've dealt with bringing up the family, and now you're kind of looking for something to do. And then sometimes people say, well, family tree, or or how many people are going to do that? I don't know. Not too many. People are going to be more likely at that age. I got time off, I'm going golfing, or I'm taking a trip. There's not too many people who are really interested in this. So then we're relying on Hollywood to tell us what happened in the past, and this is what people do. So big lies get passed down to us from Hollywood, and we don't know anything. We really don't. We never experienced those years, and so I've talked for 13 minutes about how we can't trust Hollywood for giving us accurate history, and what's the whole point of telling you this? You could have stopped at the first minute and moved along. The answer simply is to get you starting to wonder about what you've been taught, because as I said, this is a deprogramming. On deprogramming a lifetime of living on planet Earth, I have to really keep pushing you to consider a lot of the stuff out of date that you were taught back in the day in schools, out of date, and the internet, totally unreliable. I mean, even when you use Wikipedia and you look, you can see what certain people have written this, and they don't put their names down. And, I don't know, it seems like certain people are really in charge of Wikipedia, which is where a lot of people go to get information. But if you don't know who put this information into Wikipedia, how do you know it's accurate? We just assume, and it's stupid to assume anything. And what about going to official places like Encyclopedia Britannica online? Is it really any better? Do you want to go? Like I've got. This is an example here. This is from like the 1930s, and this is an old encyclopedia from the 1930s. Do you want to go back there? Well, how accurate is it? You're never going to be able to know. So, are we expecting time machines to show up? I don't know. I'm just trying to deprogram you to make you say, this is what I was taught, and I have no idea if it's true. So why don't we just set it aside as being, worthless.